listening to the Marginally Geeky Show, the Epically Geeky Book Club.
Greetings, and welcome to the Marginally Geeky Show, the Epically Geeky Book Club. I am your host for the evening, Eugene Stevens. This is episode 1 of the new show from the Epically Geeky podcast network. We're going to be doing this monthly, and this is, as it sounds, our Epically Geeky book club. Take two. This first episode, we're just going to take a little time to, we will announce the first book that we're going to be reading, because we do want the audience to read along with us and hopefully give us your input as well. So before we actually wrap up the first book, or each book afterwards, we invite you to email us or send us messages on our Facebook page and share your thoughts on the book that we're reading as well. We'd like to hear from the audience. So with that said, this first episode, we're just going to kind of go around, introduce ourselves, and talk a little bit about what it is we do, what kind of books that we're mainly into, and then, like I said, we'll announce the first book that we'll be reading for the club. Would anyone like to go first with their introduction?
No.
All right, you're first.
I guess I'll go ahead and start. I didn't want to hog the mic too long. If you are listening to this, there's a good chance you're probably listening to the other show that we do on the network, the Epically Geeky Show. My name is Eugene Stevens. I am the host of that one as well. By day, I'm a campus technologist, quote unquote, the computer guy at a high school in Central Texas. I'm married with twin 4-year-old boys. So when I'm not dealing with that mayhem, I'm also a member of the Austin area Ghostbusters. I run the website for the most part, and I like to make stuff. As for my reading habits, I'm actually a late bloomer when it comes to reading. I didn't really enjoy reading in middle school and high school. Unfortunately, I have to blame a few bad teachers, but I have to also blame a lot of bad books that I just did not like. I'll go ahead and say it. I'm not a fan of Shakespeare. Never have been, probably never will
Get out.
be. Sorry, it's melodramatic. Can't stand it. That being said, when I did find an occasional book that I liked, I really did enjoy reading it. And it wasn't until much later in life that I found I actually really enjoy reading. Now, when I say reading, I also do all of my reading, well, with the exception of actual physical reading, whether it be online or whatever. I do audiobooks. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and Audible not so much now, but they used to sponsor a lot of podcasts, and they always had deals going where you could get 2 books for free in the first month or whatever. And my friend Lewis actually gave me the opportunity to go meet Steve Wozniak, co-founder of Apple Computer. And before I got to go meet him, I thought, oh wow, I should read his memoir beforehand. And I thought, there's no way I'm gonna have time to read this. So I was like, well, I'll sign up for this Audible thing. I'll download his book for free. I'll listen to it. Still get the credit. I'll still, whatever. So I did that, quickly canceled the service, and about a month later, it only took about a month, I was like, I'm caught up on my podcast. Maybe I should check out these other books that I keep hearing about. And then I've been an Audible member ever since. The only reason I don't go through 2 books a month is just for the cost. But otherwise, I could probably very easily rip through 2 books a month. I have found, and this is not something I would have thought initially I would have been into, I'm a really big fan of Stephen King. Not all of his stuff. The Dark Tower and everything that involves it is really what kind of got me there. But mainly science fiction. I will do some horror, which, I don't really consider a lot of Stephen King stuff really horror. But some horror books, science fiction, fantasy. Usually a lot of hard science fiction is really, really interesting, which is kind of leads into what our first book is for the month. But with that said, like I said, my name is Eugene, and I'll probably be hosting most of the episodes, but who knows, I may have to hand it off from time to time. We'll see how that goes. So I'm just going to randomly pick here. Kris, give us a little introduction.
Okay, I'm also on the Epically Geeky podcast with Eugene and basically everybody else on this podcast. I'm from Ontario, Canada, and I live on Lake Huron on the Canadian side in a little itty-bitty small town that's got about 200 people. I am a stay-at-home mom, and I have 2 kids, and they're 10 and 8, and they are freaking awesome. I am a baker and a maker, and I Yeah, I'm married to Ray. He's sitting right beside me.
Hi. Hi, Ray.
Hi, Ray. We're annoyingly happily married and have been together.
They're so obnoxiously cute.
We've been together for 17 years, and yeah, I know, shut up. I, like Eugene, am a late bloomer to reading. I read a lot when I was in the 8th grade, and I got really into Goosebumps, and I blew through that series in a summer. And then I hit high school, and then just really shitty books. And I love they're just crap. They're just crap. Yeah. I don't want to read Lord of the Flies. I just really don't. I don't care.
Right there with you.
It makes me sad, actually. And I don't care that the line in the island is a metaphor for the fractions of government. I don't give a shit. So there was all these crappy books in high school. I do like Shakespeare, but I have to watch Shakespeare. I can't read it. It makes no sense to me. And I didn't read anything in high school. It was always, I read the first couple of pages, last couple of pages, and then talked to my friends and figured it out. And a lot of Cole's Notes. College, I went to an outdoor education college, so I didn't have to read any books other than, how to, I got my boat license. So it was like boat motors and how to canoe and things like that. And then it wasn't until I was about 28, and a friend of mine basically shoved this book in my face, and she's like, read it. And I got a little scared. I'm like, oh, God, okay. And it was Eat, Pray, Love. And I never read anything like that before. I just did it because she was bugging me about it. And I actually really enjoyed it. It was kind of cool. And then I got into Twilight, and I read the whole series in like a week, and I abandoned my family. And
so I, of course, read those because, dear God, I had to know what the hell she was reading to ignore us for so long.
Yeah. Not to say that they were great or anything. I just got sucked in by the story. And it turns out I really like paranormal books. I really like anything with vampires or werewolves. I love fantasy books. I also like biographies, especially by comedians, because they swear a lot. And my favorite word is fuck. So, that's fun. And our kids are not bookworms. Logan is a little bit, our daughter, and she reads these, was it My Dorky Diary or something like that? I can't remember.
Oh yeah, the Dorky Diaries.
Dorky Diaries. And Quinn reads Captain Underpants, which I love. I love Captain Underpants. Those are hilarious. And that's it.
Not bad. Very good. Very good. Since you've already mentioned Ray, I guess we should go ahead and let him go next.
Thank you, because she just did all the introduction for me.
I'm sorry.
No. So yeah, I'm Ray. I've been on the show newly this year. I was not part of the old one, but the Epically Geeky I have been, which is kind of cool. I am a radiation protection technician at a nuclear plant that we live by, and that's a whole other topic for another day. For reading, I hated reading as a kid. I was so bored. Give me a video game. That was kind of my thing. And then when Kris started reading, I was like, yeah, I guess I should read something too. So I got into the Dan Brown books and a couple other things. And I know Dan Brown's not a very popular one for people that like to read, but I enjoy his books because they are written like a movie, and so you can kind of get a really good picture in your head. And then I've also I went down to Mexico and finished off Lord of the Rings, the first book, and in one little vacation, which is kind of cool. I'm struggling to get through the second one.
That one's kind of a slow one.
Yeah.
It's been like 15 years. It's a real struggle.
I'm going to read the whole thing. I got to where like Mary and Pippin were talking about their stories, or so, I don't know. It was a story within the story, very meta. So yeah, and then I got through the Harry Potter books, which I absolutely loved and could not put down. And just, I love fantasy. I love those types of books. I love mysteries. I'm a person that loves puzzles and stuff like that too. So give me a good puzzle book where you got to figure out what's going on. But yeah, that's kind of me in a nutshell.
Very good, very good.
Nice.
Lanie, you want to go next?
Yeah. So I'm Lanie, and I am on the Epically Geeky podcast, as well as another podcast that we'll talk about at a later date. I am I'm a teacher. I'm an elementary school teacher, so I am very, very familiar with a lot of children's books, obviously. I wouldn't call myself a late bloomer. I would call myself like maybe a medium bloomer. When I first started reading, it was kind of a struggle to get me to read. I was good at it. I just didn't want to do it because it meant sitting still. And I didn't want to do that. So, but once I got into like second, third grade and really found books that I really liked, I was reading constantly. So I will read just about anything. I don't read a lot of sci-fi just yet. Maybe a little bit of fantasy. I know. Maybe a little bit of fantasy, not a ton. It kind of just depends on what the setting is and what the story is. I like just a lot of really good novels. I like a really good story. I also read a lot of essay collections. That's something I'm really into, I think, because that's how I write. And so I like to read things like that as well. I'm really familiar with a lot of children's literature. I love children's literature. I like a little bit of dystopian stuff here and there. I'm trying to think of anything else to add.
That's good.
Yeah, I'm trying to, I love to read, and I used to read a lot more, and I'm kind of excited to start this book club because I think it will really give me a purpose to try and make sure I'm reading more often instead of binge reading one night and staying up way too late and then getting up groggy and grouchy the next day because I just couldn't seem to close the book and go to bed. So, but yeah, I'm excited to start the book club. I'm excited to see what other kinds of stuff I'm going to get to read, maybe broaden my horizons a little bit. And I, unlike everybody else here, apparently, do like Shakespeare. Thank you very much. I agree that Hamlet is a little melodramatic, but I do like Shakespeare. And I liked some of the books I read in high school. Not all of them. The Scarlet Letter can burn in hell. But other than that, I liked most of the books that I got to read in high school. I did do some Spark Notes, though, just to help clarify some stuff.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes you need a little clarity. So.
Oh, man.
Bolden, would you like to go next?
Sure. I'm Kelly Bolden, and most people call me Bolden or Boldy, and I work at the same elementary school as Lanie and as Eugene's wife. But I work as the librarian at the school. So I guess I could claim that I'm knowledgeable on children's literature with an assertive tone.
I would say so.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I kind of highlight that by day, and then by night I do stick to my own, choices of reading, and usually it falls along the lines of anything that is contemporary fiction, because I've always been an avid reader. My mother was, and she still is, an avid reader, and so when I was growing up, she took us weekly to the library, and that was like, I guess you could say, our Six Flags of the day, because I grew up in a very small rural town in the middle of Kentucky. So it was exciting for us to go there, and that was our escape. And then, of course, I always saw her reading, and so I felt compelled to read and continued that habit through high school and college. I was fortunate enough to go to a small liberal arts college in Kentucky, where I had these fantastic classes where I could further delve into certain genres that most people could not. I took a class on Gothic literature, and which was fantastic, and so I kind of stuck with that for a while. I also studied African American female authors, and so those kind of classes, just kind of fed the passion, and I just kept going with it. I guess I'd say that I also am a big fan of poetry, which, again, some people look at you and roll their eyes at you, but to each his own. I'd rather read a poetry book than anything in that Twilight series. but that's that's what I'm saying. To each his own. And then I'm just excited that that Eugene came up with this idea for the book club and this podcast, because my favorite conversations throughout the course of the day are usually with my aide, who is also an avid reader, or with teachers like Lanie, or other people that I work with who read and can tell me about, whatever they are reading. Those are like sweet little dimes at the end of the day that I can just put in my pocket and be like, yep, we still have, rational, civilized people reading books. So I guess that's the gist of me. So I'm excited, like I said, to have this opportunity. And of course, I hardly ever read science fiction, but I did read The Martian. So I was like so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, I've read 3 or 4 of the books on the list. I can't believe it. And so I'm excited, and I appreciate the extension to be invited. So that's it.
Great, awesome.
Can I add a nugget about Boldy that I love? It's just something cute that she does. That's
sure.
Related. So Bolden always sends out a newsletter to like all of the teachers at our school that kind of lets us know what's going on at the library. There's always something helpful to us included on it and everything, and it gives us a chance to sign up for times to come in and see her and do a lesson. But she always includes a poem on there, and I get really excited to see what she's gonna pick every time. So it's just something really cute that she does, and I don't know if everybody appreciates it, but I love it. So it's like I said, I toss it out there and somebody can appreciate it. Someone will bite, Yeah. And you'd be surprised at how often, poetry appears in everyday life, but absolutely. But it's a good thing. So, but I'm glad Lanie reads it. I love it.
Of course she does. The last member that is currently on the show, well, at least with us this evening, is Andrew Parker. Introduce yourself, sir.
Hey, my name's Andrew Parker. I'm occasionally on the Epically Geeky Show. Just been real busy with schools. Haven't been on the last several episodes. But yeah, I grew up in a household where reading was just what everyone did. So I've been reading since I was a small person. I don't know. I've always liked reading. It was a good way for me to, escape, I guess, has always been a good thing. Mostly sci-fi, fantasy. I read some comics, or I guess graphic novels, but not really. I read some like Anthony Bourdain, kind of funny fiction stuff, which is kind of cool, or nonfiction.
There you go.
I don't know. I've read The Martian, and so I'm really excited to talk about it. I thought it was a really good book. I was excited for this to start because it's a good way for me to read books that aren't a geology textbook. Because a lot of times I read a lot of stuff and diagrams and stuff all day, and so the last thing I want to do is read more. But I do enjoy reading stuff where I can just kind of turn my brain off. Is fun. So that's why I'm excited to do this and to kind of keep me on track, and probably make me read the 4 other books I'm trying to read now. I'll probably get through those too. So, yeah, that's pretty much me.
Well, good deal. The last person, unfortunately, she wasn't able to make it this evening, is Jennifer Hetzel. She has been a guest on the Epically Geeky Show as well. I'm not really sure about her reading habits, but when I first asked her if she wanted to be on the show, she enthusiastically said yes. So I'm taking it she's a pretty avid reader. I would guess from her hobbies probably sci-fi and fantasy, but I'm not. Don't quote me on that. We may have to have her do a quick introduction on the next episode whenever we reconvene here in a month, just so that she can kind of give a little bit of information about herself. So that being said, a couple other people here have already mentioned it. The first book that we will be reading for the book club is The Martian by Andy Weir. It of course there is a movie adaptation. It came out last year, I believe. And there are some differences, of course, between the book and the movie. So, don't think you can watch the movie and cheat. That being said, I will invite you to, if you have not seen the movie, read the book first and then watch the movie, because I wouldn't mind discussing some of the changes they made.
Ooh, compare and contrast.
A little compare and contrast, especially on this book. I think the compare and contrast on this between the book and the movie is really good. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole yet, so I'm just going to leave it at that. So like I said, we will be reconvening here in a month. Please check the Epically Geeky Facebook page if you haven't already. Like it. Also follow it on Twitter. I will be posting information about the book club on the social media there. So please go to the Epically Geeky page, like I said, like it, and I'll be posting updates as to when we're recording the next episode, when we would like you to send in your thoughts and feelings on the book. We would also like to invite you to recommend books to us. Granted, we're just getting started, but from what we've mentioned here, you can see we have a very eclectic group of people. Definitely have some opposing thoughts on some things, Shakespeare. But that's fine. That's actually what I wanted. I didn't want everyone to be completely like-minded and be like, oh yeah, it was a great book, and just everyone go all the way around. Now, if it is a great book and everyone likes it, awesome. But some of us are definitely more so into sci-fi, where some of us aren't. And that's honestly one of the main reasons I wanted to start this book club, is because I tend to, if you look through the books that I'm reading, like I said, a lot of them tend to start falling into the same categories. Granted, if I find a series, I want to try to finish it, but this is a way for me to also kind of broaden my horizons and find books that I may not have normally picked out for myself. Because that's all. I love that. I love whenever I find a book that I normally would not have picked up, and I go through it and I was like, wow, that was fantabulous. I can't wait to read more about this, or maybe I should check out this genre more. So yeah, that's pretty much it for our first episode. Like I said, we were just going to do introductions, announce our first book. But before we get moving on, would anyone like to share what they're currently reading?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, Lanie, what are you currently reading?
Like 15 things at once. I'm rereading Practical Magic, which I've read, I think, 6 times. I just recently finished up Hannah Hart's memoir called Buffering, Tales of a Life.
Oh, was it good?
It was so good.
Oh, good. I want to read that.
Oh my God, it was so good. I'm finishing up a Rob Sheffield book about music, basically, for lack of a better term. And then I'm about to start, actually, I can't decide if I'm about to start. I'm either going to read Girl on the Train or Gone Girl. I can't decide which.
Girl on the Train.
Yeah?
Yep.
Okay, well then that's decided.
Well, then there's your recommendation. Parker, what are you currently reading?
I am halfway through rereading Lord of the Rings. I am halfway through the second book in the Song of Ice and Fire series.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Just started, well, not just started. I'm a little bit through the first book in the Foundation series by Isaac Asimov.
Yeah, that's on my to-do list.
Yeah, that's currently, and then 4 textbooks, so,
Wow.
So that's it. That's all he's reading.
It's just...
y'all are putting me to shame here. What are you currently reading?
I'm currently reading a short little book. It's called News of the World. It's only about 200 pages, so I'll probably finish it tonight. But it's about an ex-soldier in around late 1800s here in Texas who is like the town crier. He travels around all the little towns and gives them the latest news. And well, he ends up being charged with taking this young Indian captive back to her home in San Antonio. So it's interesting because I've got the context, and I'm right here in Texas. So, but it's a good read. The descriptions of the landscape and the characters the landscape description is wonderful, and the characters are very, very, very intense. So it's good.
Nice.
Good deal. Kris, what are you currently reading?
I am reading a quick little book called The Life-Changing Magic of Not Giving a Fuck, How to Stop Spending Time You Don't Have with People You Don't Like Doing Things You Don't Want to Do by Sarah Knight. It is a parody of the
Life-changing magic of tidying
the life-changing magic of tidying up. Yep, that's right. But she doesn't make fun of it. She's just saying she was inspired by it. So for somebody like me who worries a lot about things I don't need to worry about, it's actually really practical. And the advice in here, although funny, and every other word is fucking, I just love that. I'm a big fan of swearing.
Hell yeah.
It doesn't make you stop and think. And I have done a couple of the exercises in here. And I'm sort of looking forward to reading the rest of it, see what else she's got recommended. And this one I'll probably keep. I tend to get rid of books once I'm done reading them. I'll donate them to the library or give them to friends, but I think this one I'm going to keep.
Good deal. Ray, what are you currently reading?
I have tried to start a few times, and this is obviously going back on the back burner again, The Passage by Justin Cronin.
Nice.
All I know is it's a dystopian future.
That's because you got rid of the dust jacket with the explanation on it.
He didn't get rid of it. He didn't give it to me. It's a book that one of the guys I work with has recommended, knowing that I like, dystopian futures and stuff like that. And he said, "Are you okay with like vampires and stuff?" And I said, "Well, yeah." And he says, "Well, then you have to read this book." And I said, okay. He said, the second book's coming out soon, so you got to read this fast. I said, well, good luck with that, because Renos are coming. And anybody that follows me on Instagram knows that when Renos are coming, it means I don't do anything else but Renos. So,
yep.
Poor Ray.
Well, it's okay.
It's hard to be handy, isn't it?
The bathroom is 95% done. So, yay!
Woo!
So, yes, that's what I'm currently trying to read, and then that's going to take a bit of a back burner, but that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Currently I'm reading, I got it on sale. It came up. It was like, hey, this is a really cheap book on Audible. We thought you might like it. I'm like, sure, I'll give it a shot. It's Stephen King, Full Dark, No Stars. It's a collection of short stories. I'm about halfway through the first short story. It's very reminiscent of The Telltale Heart. It's about a guy who he convinces his son to kill his wife and bury her. This takes place like in the 1920s because she wants to take all the land that they have, sell it off to a big company, and go move to a big city while he's insistent on being a farmer. That's what his son wants to do. They want to be farmers. They want to stay on the land. And of course, everything that they do to try to cover this up, it seems like, they're being haunted, like, she's coming back to haunt them and to show her presence there. So it's very reminiscent of that. I don't know. Maybe it's the fact now that I have children, but the idea of killing my wife and convincing them to do it was a little tougher to swallow than it used to be.
I want to read this.
Like, well, to be completely honest, like, before I had the boys, it would have been like, okay, well, it's a Stephen King book. All right, well, he kills his wife and convinces his son. Yeah, okay, I see where they're going with this. And now it's like, wow, this is kind of rough.
I'm still a godless Eden, so I'm like, whatever.
Yeah, maybe it's just, I don't know. Maybe it's just age or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, so that's what I'm currently reading. So,
do you know that Stephen King's writing a children's book?
Oh,
yeah,
that
it is.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! I cannot wait for it because if you have read the Dark Tower series, Charlie the Choo Choo is an intricate part of that series because Blaine is a pain, and if you know that reference, Oh man, I cannot believe he's actually writing that. That is phenomenal. So, yeah, as soon as I saw that, I was like, no, this completely makes sense. This is not crazy at all. But yeah. So yeah, if you would please, like I said, we'll be doing this show once a month. Probably put it out either at the end of the month or close to the beginning of the month. I'm still trying to figure out it depends on when I can get it edited and put out there. So, that being said, it should be on iTunes and Google Play and Stitcher. It usually takes a little bit longer to get on Google Music, but it should eventually be there. So, but otherwise, you can definitely find it on iTunes and Stitcher. So, if you would give us a 5-star review, it definitely helps get the word out there. If you're listening to it and you want to be part of the book club, like I said, we want to hear your input. So make sure to tell other people about it. If we're probably going to be focusing mainly on science fiction and fantasy, but we're doing this as a voting group, so it's not like we're not going to take turns necessarily or anything like that. We're just everyone's going to throw up a couple of books. We're going to vote on which one we want to read next and go from there. So we may go from hard science fiction to fantasy to if someone throws up a biography up there that we thought we'd enjoy, we'll check that out too. So we're not putting any restrictions on it. So that being said, where can we find you on the internet, Lanie?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at It's a Lanie Bird.
Kelly, where can we find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter at Library Voodoo.
Kris?
On Instagram at Lake Life Mama.
Ray?
And Instagram, Lake Life Artist.
Parker?
I got a Facebook. You can. I don't know. I'll figure something out.
You can't find a East Coast protocol.
We'll figure
right
something
now,
out.
Just send a Raven. We'll forward it on.
But I have Facebook, so you do like electronic stuff now. So
You can poke him.
yeah, on Facebook. I'll figure something out. I guess I'll do something for the show. So
Okay, cool.
Stay tuned.
There you go. And if you want to follow my wacky adventures, you can find me at Optimus Jane on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And we will see you next month.
You're listening to the Marginally Geeky Show, the Epically Geeky Book Club.